Thinking of adding a day at Universal Studios Hollywood onto your Disneyland vacation? Here are 5 things to make adding this unique theme park more enjoyable and less stressful.
You're listening to Castle Talk Radio. We're live on the airwaves with Becca and Jessica.
This episode is sponsored by Arias Transportation. Arias is a private transportation option to get you from the SoCal airports to your theme park hotels in the most comfortable and convenient way. They offer car seats, stops for groceries. They can even bring snacks to the airport when they pick you up. And parents, they even have strollers you can borrow during your trip at no additional cost to you. Visit ariastransportation.com for more information, and thank you to Arias for sponsoring this episode.
Now let's jump into this week's episode.
Hey everyone, it's Becca from the Theme Park Tips Gal, and today I'm doing a solo series about adding a day at Universal Studios Hollywood onto your Disneyland vacation. I just recently did this. I've done it a few times in the last couple of years. So we're going to talk about some things you might want to know if you're planning on doing this. So any movie buff or thrill ride lover, they're definitely going to enjoy a day at Universal Studios. I do also think kids ages 5+ can really enjoy this theme park, but I wouldn't consider Universal Studios Hollywood a full-blown vacation destination. So unlike its sister park, Universal Studios Orlando, where there's multiple parks, hotels, you could easily spend a full week vacation just at Universal in Florida. That's not the case in Hollywood. However, it is a great add-on to your Disneyland trip or just a Southern California trip. That said, though, Universal Studios Hollywood is an hour or more drive from Anaheim, which is where Disneyland is, depending on traffic and all of that. And it can be a bit stressful to add on to your trip if you don't have these 5 tips I'm going to share with you. All right, so the first tip I have for you guys is the biggest one, and that's to add Universal at the beginning or end of your trip. So for my latest trip, we actually flew into the Burbank airport, which is really close to Universal Studios. We stayed the night at a hotel in the area. We did Universal Studios Hollywood, went back to our hotel, got our luggage, and then we took a ride share down to Anaheim, and then we finished out our trip in the Disneyland area and then flew home from an airport in that area. I can't remember if it was Santa Ana / Orange County or if it was Long Beach, but it was one of those two. They're about the same distance from Disneyland. This is the perfect way to do it if you don't mind having a different airport for each trip. It's also great if you're one of those people that is flying into LAX. I avoid LAX like the plague, but for those that are flying in or out of it, it is a great option to start or end. Actually, with LAX, I would probably end my trip at Universal Studios Hollywood if I was flying out of LAX, because you could do Universal, stay at the hotel that's closer up there, and then if you have an early flight or whatever, because you're going to have to get there much earlier than you would the smaller airports of like Long Beach, Orange County, or even Burbank. So it's a great option to end it there. But what this does is it makes it so you're not having to be in Anaheim and get all the way up to LA and back in the same day if you can just break your trip into 2 different parts. Now, my second tip kind of feeds into that, and that's plan how you're going to get from the LA area to Anaheim or Anaheim to LA, whichever way you're doing it, because there are a lot of ways to do it. So I'll start off with the way we did it this last time was a ride share, and it was $125 for our Uber to get from our hotel in Burbank, probably like 10-minute drive from the theme park. That's where our hotel was. To get from there to our hotel in Anaheim, it was $125, and it took an hour and 30 to an hour and 45 minutes. So it was a long ride down, and it cost quite a bit. So for that price, you could easily rent a one-way vehicle if you can find somewhere that doesn't upcharge to pick it up in the LA area and then drop it off at one of the rental car areas at the Disneyland Resort area. So that's another option is a rental car. Now, if you're just driving down for your vacation, obviously you can take your own car. Just note that you will have parking and then, of course, the gas to go back and forth between the two areas. Another option, though, is the train. So there is a train that runs um, I think it's called the Metrolink. In fact, I know it's called the Metrolink. Do not get on the Amtrak, get on the Metrolink. And then you can take it from the Anaheim area up to the LA area, and then it has a like metro bus train that goes to Universal. So you can obviously do that if you're comfortable with that. Another option though is a private car service. So there's lots of these. Carmela's one, but Arias Transportation. Arias Transportation is the one that we recommend on this podcast. They're sponsoring this episode, and we mostly recommend them from getting to your hotel, from your hotel, or from the airport to your hotel, and from your hotel to the airport. But you can always reach out to them and book a transportation service to get from Universal down to the Disneyland area or vice versa. Okay, so my third tip is to invest in Express Pass at Universal and, if possible, also early access to Universal Studios' Super Nintendo World. This will help you be able to get everything done in one day, but I would get the Express Pass for Universal before investing in Lightning Lane Multipass at Disneyland. And I know that sounds weird, but it is quite a bit more expensive at Universal, but it does allow you to basically hop on every ride with no wait. There's only a couple of rides that don't include it, and that's in the super silly Funland area. And those rides generally do not have a wait anyways. You don't have to schedule them. You just get to use it once per ride. Just walk up to the ride and use it. And it really does help make sure that you can do the entire park in one day. The other option is that you could get a 2-day park ticket to Universal Studios Hollywood. But again, you will be waiting a lot of lines. It will just give you 2 days to get everything done instead of one. And of course, depending on the season and when you're going, you may not need Express Pass. And I am happy to chat with you about that. You can reach out to me via my Instagram, the Becca Robbins, and I'll have that link down below, or on my YouTube channel, which is Theme Park Tips Gal. And we can discuss your personal, when you're going and whether or not that is something you might need. So my fourth tip for you guys is choosing when to do Universal versus Disneyland. And this is a very personal decision. I do suggest it being either at the beginning of the trip or the end of the trip that you do Universal, just so you're not traveling back and forth. But some people really like that midday break to go up to Universal Studios. I personally just don't think it makes a good experience to have to drive up and then drive back. And it's better to do Universal either at the beginning or the end of your trip. I personally think it's better to do Universal at the beginning because it is a one-day experience. You can get it all done in one day. And then you can go to Disneyland and have that experience and end on those notes. And I feel like Disneyland just has a lot more magic or memorable wrap up type activities you can do, like watching the fireworks or watching the parade. There's just these things that you can do at Disneyland that put a nice little bow on the end of that vacation. So that would be my suggestion on whether you choose to start there or end there. However, if you're let's say you're flying out of LAX, I would actually do it the opposite way. I would start with Disneyland, and then I would do Universal, spend the night at a hotel in the area, And then that way I'm up already by LAX and I don't have to worry about getting up to LAX from Anaheim the morning of my flight because traffic is so unpredictable. And of course, the final tip for adding Universal Studios Hollywood onto your Disneyland vacation is that you purchase all of your tickets and book your hotels through our partners at getawaytoday.com/castletalk, and that will get you the best deals. We have negotiated super low prices for our listeners, and that is lower than you can get through them directly, and theirs are already lower than Disneyland. So you're getting the best price possible when you visit getawaytoday.com/castletalk. And they have hotel options near Universal Studios Hollywood. So we stayed in this last trip, the Spring Hill Suites in Burbank, which was about a 10 to 15 minute Uber ride to Universal Studios. They also work with the Sheraton, which is walking distance to Universal. And of course, they have dozens of hotels that they work with in the Disneyland area, and they have those discount tickets with add-ons. So at Universal Studios, you can add on Express Pass or the VIP experience. At Disneyland, you can add on your Park Hopper and or your Lightning Lane multi-pass. So definitely check them out and let me know if you are planning a trip to Universal Studios Hollywood. I have a lot of information up on the Theme Park Tips Gal YouTube, which includes how to do the entire park in one day and talking about Express Pass. And of course, the Hollywood Studios lot tour, which is like the most unique experience in a theme park in the United States. And we will see you real soon.
You've been listening to Castle Talk Radio. For exclusive discounts on tickets and hotels, free guides, and to listen to past episodes, visit castletalkradio.com.